This is your 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. Let's just jump right into the Quirks, Perks, and Irks. So we're with the mid-trim touring trim. So you do get halogen fog lights, which are at the bottom corners, and you get halogen headlights, which are obviously right there, and you get halogen turn signals. But this little strip here is your LED day runner, so it's kind of cool. Perk for me, it's a nice, cool crisscross pattern that falls right there, and I always like that about the Pacifica. Really nice. And Irk is the location of the turn signal. I wish it was on the outside of the assembly as opposed to being on the inside. Cool little design on the hood here. Not sure if you can see it. Let's get an angle. Yeah, there we go. So there's one line and there's the other. So it looks pretty sharp. Overall front end, it's not boring. It's not flashy. It's good and plain. Let's go around to where we started and take another look at the front quarter look. You can't really do much with minivan styling, and I'm happy that Chrysler didn't kind of go all crazy and they give it a nice conservative look. And Irk for me, no turn signals anywhere in the side mirrors. I kind of wish they did that. Let's get a good side look. I got to back up an extra few steps because it is a minivan. So there you go. I've always found that little top part weird, how it kind of angles it that way instead of just going straight up. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Not a good thing, not a bad thing, just an observation. Rim design, and nothing special about it. Looks cool. Not the best I've seen, but again, this is for function over fashion. Let's take a look at the rear. Halogen turn signals, which double as your brake lights as well, and they're your reverse lights. So let's just back up and take another quick look. Pacifica badging, single tailpipe. I think you can see it right at the edge there. Now the 2021 has a full light bar across, and I think that's going to look really sharp. But for now, let's focus on the 2020. And you have your reverse camera right underneath the Chrysler logo, as is mandated. It's a little pull underneath the handle. And that's how you get to the inside of this cavernous vehicle. With everything down, the stow and go seats activated, it's almost 4,000 liters of cargo space. So I'll do a separate little small clip of all the seats going down in different orders and show you the different cargo slots and spots and measurements as well. There's no spare tire. Instead, you get a fill kit. And there's that little thing right there with the little pump and the tire, and it's underneath and it's right in there. Let's start taking a look inside the Pacifica. So there's 3 ways you can open the door. You can either use the key fob and use that button. You can either push this, or you can just pull on the handle. So for this purpose, let's use the key fob. A couple of pushes, and there we go. So I have the passenger side seats up just to kind of show you how flat they go. And there's the 40% split. There's the 60% there. A little bit of a plastic liner there to keep things clean. So the seat there, headrest is up, and you can adjust the back. So it goes back pretty far, pretty nice. Cargo tubs, not that bad. And yes, this also goes down, so you don't have to put your feet in the tub. Simply see if I can do it with one hand. You get a little better positioned. Anyway, so you just pull that and you slide it underneath, and these 2 grooves make sure that it always goes in the right spot. So with this one's all the way flat because the seat is in there. And if you wanted to get the seat out, simply just pull that, and that part lifts up. Now the seat's not all the way up, and you're like, well, do I have to go all the way around to the front, push those little buttons there? The answer is no, because there's a nice little button here. And if you just push it once, you'll see the seat does start moving up. And what that allows you to do is lift this part up, and it actually stands on its own. So not that bad. No stands, no other little gimmicky things. It just sits on its own. And then to get the seat out from where it is in the floor, you just pull this. I don't know if I can do it with one hand. Let's see. So it's up and out, so you can see just how much space there is there. And then I'm going to take my hand for the seat back, and the whole thing moves back. And then you put your seat up, and you put your headrest up for safety. And the cargo bin, which is outside of the car, goes in there. And then when you're done, you just flatten that out right across there, the same way I did with that. And if you want to just pull it forward, you don't have to necessarily get the whole stow and go activated. And there's enough space to get someone a little on the smaller side into the rear seats. But basically, that's how you do it. and then you push it all the way back, and you can see just how close it is to the door. Do that one more time to show you. Pull that forward, and that grants you. That's my combination of gets and grants. That gets you the extra space. So I want to push it back for now, and that's going to wrap up kind of just how the stow and go seats actually work. It's a clever design, and I've always liked it, and just adds that much more functionality to it. There is a middle seat, which you saw in the previous part of the video, and there are the brackets for it, and there's a seat right there. So I'm gonna put this down because there's no way, as you can see in 1 second, let me close this up first, and there's your button to close it. So that's one way. You can push the button 2 ways, lift the handle 3 ways, or you can go back to the key fob, which is the 4th way. For this one, I'm gonna just push the button, and there it is, closed up. So as I go into the front, there's no way I can fit in there. Just absolutely impossible. So I'm just gonna push the seat back through the actual regular controls as opposed to that little side button, which we just saw about maybe a minute ago. And the cool thing is when you push the seat forward, not only does the seat back go forward, the seat bottom part also moves at the same time to give you that nice extra amount of space to get in. All right, let's be quick with this because we're already at the 3.5 minute mark. Start stop button is right on the other side of that. And what I've started doing for myself is whenever I stop the car, I just kind of tilt the wheel a little bit so that a little bit more. So when I actually sit in the vehicle, it's visible. I'm not kind of pushing here or here or guessing. So that's what I do for that. Let's get the wheel straightened out. I like the blue design of, let's get that in focus. Focus. There we go. So nice blue dials, pretty sharp. Typical FCA form. You get all sorts of information there. And that's how you run it through your steering wheel control. And there's 5, 6, I think there's 9 in total. There are 8 different options, and you scroll left to right and you get a bunch more, but it's really easy to see at night. And I think it's a really nice design that Chrysler has done. So down here, a little more cargo, and you push this open, you get a nice sliding tray. I think that's for actual coins, and I don't know who uses coins nowadays, but if you do, it's they've got you covered. My wallet and the pen does not come with the vehicle. Just a little side note there. There's a little bit of storage tucked in here, a little bit of storage tucked in there as well. And there's a nice piece of rubber in there so things tend not to slide around. So to get to your heated seats, you gotta go through the controls and then set it that way. And it's really hard to do with your gloves on. I just wish maybe the 2021 will have a couple of hard touch buttons there. So the problem with the piano black, A, it catches a lot of fingerprints, and B, it catches a lot of dust. So I've left a little bit of dust up there just to show you how much it accumulates and how quickly it does. Now, a couple of quick wipes with a cloth and you're done, right? That'll look nice and clean like that. But it just tends to attract a lot of the dirt. This is your upgraded 8.4-inch Uconnect 4. The standard model comes with a 7-inch screen. I don't really see the point in going up just 1.5 inches. Like, I'd rather than make the 8.4-inch screen just standard across the board. Very responsive, very easy to use, very user intuitive, and full marks for me, except for the heated seats and heated steering wheel. Thumbs down for that. Anyways, let's move on. I think this is cool. Little mirror to kind of show you what's happening in the other 6 or 5 seats, depending if you get the middle seat or not. So it just kind of tucks away, and you want to keep an eye on your kids or whatever they're doing, or if you got some cargo, you want to make sure that doesn't move around. That's a cool option there. There's your sunglasses holder in there as well, and you get some cool controls. So you can open the doors from here. All right, lights go on, and that's that. And you push that one, and I'll show you now that the door is opening, and it is now closing. You got a couple more cup holders in here. You got some storage. You got some storage. Now I got to get out of the car for a sec, just to show you the pass-through storage. And I think I'm gonna run it this way. Yeah, anyway, so it goes all the way through. So for some of your longer items, I'm not sure if you can quite fit an iPad in there, but there is ample room for storage back there, and you got a couple of power options right there. So you're 12 volt DC plus a USB port. I'm gonna show you my, sorry, tap my head on the steering wheel. Anyways, I'm gonna show you my favorite little quirk of this entire vehicle. So there's a tray liner in there, and that's there. And what they did is they put every generation of minivan on here. So you go from right to left for the old school design, and then it's the 2nd gen, 3rd gen, and that's where we are currently. So I think it's a really cool little perk and Quirk for that matter, that Chrysler popped in there. I actually noticed that today. I didn't notice that for the past week, so nicely done. You have your armrests, and the cool thing is they actually adjust. It's not just a matter of all the way up or all the way down. There's a little button I'll show you on my one right there, and you can just kind of set it to your different heights depending on your arm size. Right up there you get climate controls for the second and third rows, and it's 3 different zones, right? So you can see right there at the end of my finger, there's a vent, and there's one on the other side for your third row. There's vents right in the middle of the screen there for your second row as well. You do get sunshades. There's that little black tab there. Let's see if I can crawl over. This is definitely testing my agility as a 42-year-old guy who is extremely out of shape. Anyways, that's how that goes, and it just latches onto those. Let's do the drive in the 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. So under the hood, 3.6 liter V6. It's got 287 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, all run through a 9-speed automatic transmission. I'm in the touring trim, which falls around the middle, and it's front-wheel drive. But for 2021, we are seeing an introduction of an optional all-wheel drive system. As far as road manners and dynamics, it's a minivan. You know, it's not gonna corner well or handle well. It's just not made for that. This is a function-first vehicle, and with nearly 4,000 liters of cargo space, once everything's flattened down, and 243 different seating configurations, according to the Chrysler website. Definitely a utilitarian vehicle, right? And I don't think anyone has ever bought a minivan for its handling and cornering abilities. And it's relatively easy to drive for a vehicle that's of this size and this length. Just take your corners a little slower and just map out the road ahead a little more carefully. I will say that the cabin is very quiet for a vehicle of this size. Usually bigger vehicles, sounds tend to echo and bounce around the inside, but Chrysler's done a great job on keeping the cabin surprisingly quiet. The touring trim has 6 speakers, and it's only 6, but I'm surprised at how big and boomy and clear the audio system is. So if your kids like music as much as I do, which they might not, or each kid gets half an hour with the radio, it sounds pretty good, surprisingly good, in fact, for a 6-speaker audio system. And again, in a vehicle this large where sounds can kind of tend to get lost closer to the rear of the vehicle. And it's just based off size. Infotainment, very easy to use. Again, the 8.4-inch upgrade from the 7-inch standard. I just wish to give everybody an 8.4-inch Uconnect 4 system, but that's just me. Very, very easy to use. Not a lot of digging. I'll just touch on it again. Give me some hard touch buttons, Chrysler, for the heated seats and heated steering wheel. But aside from that, nice, easy to use. Everything's cleanly laid out. As far as what it's like on the pumps, well, I've done about 300 kilometers and I'm at 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers. The fuel figures are 10.6 combined for liters per 100 kilometers, and that's 12.4 in the city, 8.4 on the highway. So I'm kind of in the middle. I've done, I'd say, a 50-50 split between highway driving and city driving. So not too bad. Again, it's size to power to weight ratio. And again, this is a full-size minivan. It's huge, it's massive, and it's got the V6 engine. And again, this has been just me in the vehicle primarily. You put a few more people, another adult, a couple of kids, some toys, some sports gear, whatever it is, and the vehicle gets heavier and it affects your fuel consumption. So not the best out there, but again, it's why you're buying a minivan. You're buying it for function. You're buying it to move people, to move things, whether you're a parent with kids or whether you own some kind of business/company that needs to have a lot of stuff hauled back and forth, whether it be tools or whatnot. Pacifica is definitely one of the best ways to go. And the sliding doors are where it's at. On the touring trim, you get power sliding doors, and I showed you all. There's 3 ways to open the sliding doors, and there's 4 ways to close the sliding doors. So that definitely makes it easier. As far as where it stands between the 2 major competitors, which are the Honda Odyssey and the Toyota Sienna. I should probably include the Kia Sedona. It's technically a minivan, not nearly as popular as these three, but it's still there. I was on the launch for the Odyssey back in 2018, and I was very impressed with it. I have yet to drive the Sienna, so I can't tell you how good or whatever my perks, quirks, and irks are with it. What I can speak to for the Pacifica is that it's really good, and it's won a ton of awards since it came out a couple of years ago. And just as far as the functionality goes, and I know I keep going back to that word, it's the stow and go seats that really set this apart. It's again such an innovative system, and it creates such a usable interior amount of space, as opposed to the seats just kind of folding down, as opposed to folding down and into the floor of the Pacifica. So if it was strictly based off function, I would definitely go with the Pacifica. Just, you can't beat the stow and go seat. As far as safety goes, it's a bit of a letdown for me because on the touring trim, you don't really get much of anything. And the way Chrysler Canada spec this vehicle is there's the safety tech group, and that included blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, but there's no active safety, along the lines of front collision warning, automatic emergency braking, and all that kind of standard suite of safety systems. That's not included on the touring option. So you've got to tick a couple of boxes to get it. And the higher up you go on the trim ladder for the Pacifica, the more those things are present. But I'm just going to wish the touring trim, which is going to be their volume seller, had a little more. I'm not sure what the 2021 will have as far as standard safety goes. They may very well have that. I've only seen a couple of pictures. I haven't done a real deep dive into what the 2021 has in store as far as standard equipment. That's going to wrap up the 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. It definitely means a lot to me. If you have any questions on it, please let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I'll be back sooner than later with my next review.